About what you talked about?
Yes, sure, fine. Sure, go ahead. Right.
Well, you mentioned, first of all, that usually there's a 20 to 30 year gap between new technologies and them being implemented.
Correct.
Where do you think that we are in this gap period related to the three new technologies you talked about?
About 7 or 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when I first met with the BBC, I spent 5 years implementing the VJ thing. And I gave a speech like this one, and to the Board of Governors. And then when it was over, I said, are there any questions? And they're very old, and they said, one guy stood up and he said, when do you believe this change will happen? And I said, it will happen when you're all dead, because that's what we're all waiting for.
And they were very happy to hear that.
Well, they weren't happy to hear it, but they were happy enough to hire me. New technologies happen not when the technology arrives, but when those who are comfortable with it are in positions of power. For example, today, the head of EJC, whatever the hell that is, I have no idea.
European Journalism.
Right. I'm sure it's some guy who's in his 50s or 60s, he kind of, maybe he has a BlackBerry, maybe he does, and I'm not really sure. But when you are the head of EJC, you will be totally internet driven, and you'll probably say, oh, television, who watches it, who cares? It's all about web. That's why it takes technologies 20 or 30 years to migrate upward, because the people who make the decisions and are in positions of power are generally disconnected from day-to-day operation.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
When you hear somebody, for example, like Margaret Wallström talking about commission and communication strategy, how do you react?
I have a hard time. Well, she's a very nice person. I have a difficult time following what she's talking about. So I couldn't really say.
Okay.
She said.
How do you think, or do you think there are any media organizations that are adopting better than others?
Yeah, of course, Google.
Okay.
They're cranking along. And unlike, this very rich guy who's the #1, he owns the company, I understand what his perspective is. Yeah, the Paris Group. Yeah. It's great. If my father left me the Paris Group, I would also have the same position of protecting the newspaper. But in point of fact, it is revolution, it's not evolution. Google was not evolution, right? Yeah. General Electric did not evolve into Google, right? MySpace is not evolution. MySpace happened like that. The web is not about evolution, it's about revolution. And either you get hip or you get out. It's a very quick decision.
Yeah. So when you talk to people from traditional media outlets, what do you advise them to do?
I tell them, burn it to the ground while you still have time.
Yeah?
Because if you don't change, you're going to die. No, seriously. Do any of you read newspapers? I mean, yeah, very few people under the age of 40 actually read newspapers today, right? Does anybody really watch the evening news? It's boring. Yes, you do. Plus you're old. It's old, it's stodgy, it's stilted. I mean, think about it. I don't know. In Dutch, I can't say. I assume you speak Dutch, huh? No? Yeah. So in Dutch, I can't say, but when I watch American television news, it's crap. Sorry. It's just unwatchable crap because you got some old guy sitting there going, this. If your boyfriend came home to you and he sat with you at the dining room table and you said, Hans, what happened today? And he sat up very stiff like this, he said, more and more people in the European Union, you would go, what is your problem? Nobody talks like this. It is stodgy, it is old, it is death. And so that's why these things are going out of business. They suck. I mean, they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they suck. If you took the output of most television stations in this country and you burned it onto a DVD and you sold it every day in MediaMarkt for €1, would anybody buy it? Would anybody go in and say, I must have that? No, they suck. But they got to get hip to the fact that they suck.
But how do you see the future of newspapers?
Yeah, I mean, people will get their news somehow.
I think paper is too expensive. 75% of the cost of a newspaper is the physicality of making the paper. I get up every morning. Every morning I wake up, and before I get out of bed, I read the New York Times, the Guardian, the Daily Mail, all online. Why would I go outside and spend money to buy a newspaper when it's all here for free? All right, I'm a little early adapter, but it's here. And this is about technology catching up with people, If newspapers will survive, they'll be here. And if they're going to be here, they're going to have to be video. Otherwise, nobody's going to pay attention.
Do you think there's a difference between what's happening in the States and in Europe and in different countries in Europe?
Yeah, I think it goes... Yeah, in a funny way, a lot of Europe is much faster than America. A lot of Europe, because you don't have an established history of private media companies, especially in television. So you have like one state broadcaster and that's it. So you're much more amenable and much more flexible. Europeans much more hip to like video on phones. right, and texting and stuff like that. America, very, very slow to adapt. I mean, really happening. Have you been to Japan or Korea?
No, but we have some colleagues.
They are rocking along,
yeah.
you know, man. They're really like bang, 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 bang. When you look at the Japanese phone, what you can do with it, it's amazing. So that's what I mean. The technology is here, but it takes like grandma. It takes her a long time to catch up. So grandma has to die. Sorry, grandma, but this is what's necessary. Are you guys Dutch?
None of us.
Where are you from?
Slovenian.
Slovenian. Where are you from? Austria. Where are you from?
Chicago.
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 Really?
Yeah.
All right, fine. Where are you from? Belgium. So it's a nice kind of European
Mix.
shtick. That's lovely. Good.
Yes.
Right? Any other questions?
And when you're working with these as a consultant at New York Times, BBC, are those people receptive to you? Are they really?
The top management is very receptive.
Okay.
The CEOs, they get it. They understand right away. They have to do. They understand that they go out of business.
Yeah.
When it percolates down to the middle management, it's all fucked up. Because you're nervous. I don't know how to do the job. Get this guy out of here. I don't want to hear about it. We know what we're doing, you know. And that's where the thing gets sort of gummed up.
Okay.
So, but the CEOs, they all pretty much get it by now.
Cool. When you see people, I don't know, going to all these conventions of media, everyone talks about we need a new business model, we need a new way, but no one ever says what is this new business model.
I gave you the model before. Yeah, the model is
throwing it away.
No, not throwing it away. The model is eBay, right? Because when stuff goes on the web, we've lived in a world of limitations for so long. You know, you only had 8 hours a day and 6 what's on at 6, what's on at 6:30, what's on at 7. The thing about the web is it's infinite. And you can put everything up there, but there's still this resistance of, oh, it's not good enough, and oh, screw it. Let the market determine what's good enough. You put everything online, and you'll figure out what you want to see and what you don't want to see. It will tell you what works.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is a business model, but these guys, they can't wrap their heads around it because they're used to this very linear thing. We make the paper, you buy the paper. Doesn't work that way anymore.
Yeah. Cool.
Right?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure.
Good luck.